With permission, I would like to make a statement on the security situation in the Middle East. Mr. Speaker, I have deep regard for the nation of Iran, and I chaired the all-party group for Iran in this House for 8 years and visited the country on a number of times. Indeed, the last time I visited with the leader of the opposition, and we went together to visit the Iranian government and the people. It's a wonderful place with a dynamic population, and the world owes a great deal to its culture and its history. But in recent times, Iran has felt its intentions are best served through the nefarious use of proxies and the use of subversion as a foreign policy tool. It has provided practical military support to the murderous Assad regime in Syria, stoked conflict in Yemen, armed militia groups in Iraq, and has repeatedly harassed international shipping, including UK shipping, in the Strait of Hormuz. It has also shown a total disregard for human rights, holding dual nationals in prison and causing unimaginable suffering, not just to those in jail, but to their families at home. Such behaviour does nothing to enhance Iran's reputation with its neighbours and has had a seriously destabilising impact in the region. Mr. Speaker, one of the foremost architects of Iran's malign activity was the Quds Force of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. And one of its commanders and leading enablers was General Qassem Soleimani, who on the 2nd of January was killed by a US drone strike. Mr. Speaker, General Soleimani was no friend of the UK or our allies in the region. He was not an advocate of a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East. His clandestine operations saw him supply weaponry to proxy forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. He encouraged proxies to develop weapons such as improvised explosive devices that killed and maimed UK soldiers and other Western forces. And nor should we forget how he fomented instability in places like Basra, where British forces were stationed. The United States government has asserted that General Soleimani organised the strike on the 27th of December by the militia group Kataib Hezbollah, which targeted a US military base in Kirkuk, Iraq, and killed a US civilian contractor, and the US is confident that General Soleimani came to Baghdad to coordinate imminent attacks on American diplomats and military personnel. The UK will always defend the right of countries to defend themselves. The House will want to know that since October 2019, coalition bases, which contain both United States and United Kingdom personnel, and the Baghdad International Zone have been attacked 14 times. One attack on K1 base involved 32 rockets. Our challenge now is, however, to deal with the situation we find ourselves in. The US consistently showed restraint through all those previous attacks, even when their right to self-defense was well established. Since the early hours of Friday morning, the government has responded to these events. Further conflict is in no one's interest. The only beneficiaries would be the terrorists and extremists, seeking to use the chaos as cover to advance their abhorrent objectives. So we are urging all people, all parties, to de-escalate as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the safety and security